Once again, Tuesday night, live on the Cable Easel. Pat Windrow speaking, and you may call me at any time. It's 348-6800 if you have any questions about what I'm doing or any questions about painting in general. I'm here to do what I can. And we shot this scene today. It was bitter cold and very windy, but very beautiful. And the spring seems to be having trouble getting here, but nevertheless we were out with the camera. And we went to the Bayard cutting Arboretum, which is on the South Shore. And there is the shot of one of the most beautiful barns on Long Island, I expect, known simply by the people at the Arboretum as the cow barn, which of course is what it was way back in the days of the turn of the century, probably a little bit earlier than that, around 1880. And this barn was in the middle of some enormous estate, a great big farm. And maybe it was a Bayard who was the name of the owner, I'm not sure. But one of our camera people here knows the Arboretum very well. Maybe he will tell us later if Mr. Bayard was indeed the owner of this property, or if he was a botanist. But anyway, here's one a beautiful barn, absolutely wonderful, and the scale of it is far more easy to describe when you see me walking past it later on. I wanted to give some sort of scale, and so I walked past the barn. You'll be able to see the size of it in relationship to a human size. The tree and the puddle is what stopped us. We sort of snuck into the property. The gate was open, so in we went, and there was that puzzle next to the barn, probably from those heavy rains of a few days ago, and that's what made me say, okay, this is it. And in the distance, I think that you'll be able to glimpse a gleaming thing, which is the great river. And for the most part, it was a kind of a gray sky. The sun did come out periodically, and there is this wonderful barn. So let's start with a perfectly blank canvas, as usual, which I have not treated with anything. It's a perfectly white canvas, and I'm going to start laying out this structure. As I say, it's going to occupy, I didn't say it at all, but now I say it's going to occupy most of the left side of this canvas. And in order to get anything at all, you have to lay it out. There has to be a composition. And composition is something that isn't dealt with very often with some other shows. People simply tune in and somebody is already producing a painting by putting paint on canvas, but there's seems to be no plan. So I believe that a plan is absolutely essential. And here is my plan. To draw this barn as best I can for you to see how I go about it. It is a front view of the barn, and therefore there has to be a certain symmetry to it. And I'm drawing the horizontal lines to show you how it can look fairly. An architectural drawing has got to be accurate, otherwise it's wonky and drives you crazy. It doesn't look right. And so I'm doing my guidelines, and this is probably the easiest way for me to be able to show it to you, by doing this layout. Here is the basic structure of this huge barn. A rectangle, a parallelogram, and a triangle. Fairly easy to comprehend. You do not see the top of the roof from this angle, but you do see it from this one, which is a continuation of this angle. That's why you don't see the thickness of this part. And here, because it's very sharp perspective, you're going to see very little of this side of the barn. Now this is an architectural lesson which may or may not turn people off, but it is vital if you love barns and if you want to do buildings and if you want to be involved in the business of drawing them accurately, because there is really nothing probably as bad as a badly drawn architectural piece. So here we have this wonderful old barn. Its great space has got some details. One of which is this barge board, which is one of the characteristics of barns. They have these large fascia boards called barge boards. Oh well, bees in a row are always a problem. And so the barge boards come down like so, and then there is a wonderful turn to this thing, and it's very typical of the period. And so paying attention to the period of this barn means that you're paying attention to the architectural detail. This one seems to be lost in the monitor, so obviously it is going to do the same thing on this side. Now, then the other part of the wonderful design of this is that in the center at the top here we have, and it goes past this little triangle, is this hayloft door, which is obviously where the hay was brought in by probably a pulley of some sort, which has long since disappeared. And we have the need to put in approximately at this level of this side of the door is the cupola, which is probably also known as the vent. And I'm going to go past my guidelines here because I obviously made the barn larger than I thought I did. But that's what happens when you're working live. You don't have a chance to go back. So I'm going to include these wonderful vents. You don't see these wonderful, beautiful things anymore. They are now strictly functional with very little design involved, but this one is really stunning. And then there's a second one directly behind it over here in deep perspective, and it disappears into the top of it disappears because it's so far away. But it's got this little Japanese sort of a little Japanese shape up at the top here, and all this wonderful wrought iron stuff, little circles and thing, and then the lightning rod is also a function, and then there's the weather vane, which is probably frozen into place now by rust, but it's pointing north. The little arrow is pointed. There's an N here for north, and there's an S for south, which means that if it were working, the wind is coming from the south. I feel that this morning, being blown by the wind, that the wind was coming from the north, more than likely the Arctic itself. But anyway, spring is on its way. Presumably tomorrow it will begin to manifest itself. All right, now, somewhere in the middle of this line are the placement of these small windows. They are quite small for a barn, but they probably weren't needed for anything more than just minimal ventilation. The center door here is another one directly below the top one. As you can see, the drawing of this is absolutely vital, especially that you're doing the portrait of a barn. Let's face it, this is not just a barn, it's a portrait of a particular barn, and it has particular features. So, and then directly below that, I think I have made the lower part a little bit too tall, so I'm going to cut the height of this barn, and therefore my perspective line changes as well, and it gives me more room for the puddle. Then comes the center door, which is directly below the little white one, and two more windows, slightly larger, on either side of that. Beautiful symmetry. It's what was typical of the turn-of-the-century architecture of any kind. Barns and even mansions alike were absolutely symmetrical. They were hung up on symmetry, which is great. And here are these windows in perspective that you can barely see. So as you can see, the layout of this barn and the architecture of it is essential. The line of the distance of the background is way over here at this point in the barn wall. You have to use points of reference. This is the line that denotes where that background comes, and here is the line of the river, and the river is seen in that lovely patch. That lovely sort of very brilliant patch of water right here is the river. The rest of the trees sort of take care of the rest of it. Now there is a sort of an arrangement of greens back here, and then this great lawn, which of course, because this is being maintained by somebody besides a homeowner, the lawn is very well maintained. It's actually just very great grass. It's not really what you would call a lawn, and the puddle, the wonderful puddle that I waited for is that I saw is right in this area right here. I will paint the sky first and then put this tree in here and talk about the type of tree that it is, because I found out from its little tag, all these trees over there have a tag, and this one is an empress tree. The one that is directly sitting right here is an empress tree, and it's from China. Now I believe that you have the monitor on. There's that figure, which is me walking across to show you the scale, and the figure doesn't come much higher than this part of the window. So I wanted you to be able to see what the size of this barn, and that's only possible through the introduction of the human figure. Well, the application of paint can be done immediately, and as I say many times, because I work out of doors and you have to work fast because the weather is sometimes extremely difficult to cope with, especially like it was today, windy and very cold, that I use my canvas as a palette, and that's acceptable. There are no rules that say you have to have a palette. You have to just have a place on which to mix your color. This is slightly grayed blue because of the fact that there was very little sun out this morning, and the color scheme of the whole scene is dependent upon what you do with the background. And the background today was intermittent sun and a grayish type of almost wintry sky. It could have been November for all purposes this morning. However, I understand that tomorrow it's going to warm up a bit, and everybody's going to be very happy for that. Well, here is the I didn't mix enough, and so you proceed and remember the colors that you used. In the meantime, before I tell you that, I'll take a call. Hello there. Tell me your name, please.
This is Eric Soto.
Hi, Eric.
I've been on your show twice.
Oh, good. Why aren't you on this one? Never mind. Never mind.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I have a question.
Good.
Where can I buy a good fan brush?
A good fan brush. Well, there are a number of places. There is one store that I know of in Port Jefferson Station, Eric. Its name is Scribes.
Scribe?
Scribe, yes. It's spelled S-C-R-I-B-E.
Okay, let me write that down.
You do that.
Okay. How do you spell it again?
S-C-R-I-B-E.
What was that?
In Port Jefferson Station, Eric.
S-C-R-I-E.
R-I-B-E.
R-I-D.
B as in baby.
E.
Yeah.
B.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you spell it?
That's right.
Okay.
Is that all? Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I remember Eric. He's a very enthusiastic young man and dearly loves to paint, and that's the kind of audience we really need, is Eric's. Anyway, while we were doing that, I mixed the blue too dark because I was busy having a spelling lesson here. But we'll get back to the right color, just because working with a palette knife is really wonderful, and I love to have people try to do this, because they will find a whole new world opening up in front of them if they start working with a palette knife. It is very cooperative. You can cover large spaces at the same time, and then you get another wonderful thing which is called texture and the real feeling of paint. It costs a little more because you have to buy a little bit more, but you know, after all, I'm sure that when people go and buy a 6-pack of Coca-Cola, they don't think about the price. It's just that it's so good. And so buy the paint and use it, and you will find that you'll be very happy that you made the investment. As you can see, I'm going up past my guidelines because I needed to incorporate the little ventilators on this wonderful old barn. Anyway, so the Arboretum is on Montauk Highway, as I believe, in just on the outskirts of Oakdale, here on Long Island, and it's a state park which is available to the public, but I do believe that it is closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. A good idea is to just look up the Bayard Cutting Arboretum in the phone book, call them up and say, when are you open? Because it's really worth the trip. It's a wonderful thing to be able to wander around this beautiful ground. There are 200 unfinished acres, 100 kept up acres, of a total of very close to 400 acres. It's really amazing in this day when everything is highways and malls and overbuilding, to be able to find this kind of a remarkable area in which you do not see one single phone wire. You see a couple of houses, you see this great barn, and then of course the collection of trees, which are all labeled. They tell you where they're from, and they tell you their Latin name, and tell you the given colloquial name. And I found out this morning that Quercus alba is the name of a white oak, which I think is much more glamorous than white oak. Quercus alba makes you sound very knowledgeable, and certainly introduces you to a whole new outlook about trees. So many of them are endangered, and so many of them need to be cared for, and here they are. So a date to go to the Bayard cutting Arboretum is certainly something that ought to be thought about by people who have the time and interest to go to find these places. Well, and it's all here for us. It's all here for us to enjoy and to tap into as a resource. So, with that much going, I'm going to be working on this background. The background is very hazy. It's way off in the distance. Dowling College, I believe, is on the other side of this water. And that's another beautiful building, remarkable building. People who go to school there may be just so busy going to school that they don't really notice the architecture gem that Dowling College is. There are a few new wings, but there is the original building, which is really sprawling and very effective, and I'm not sure that I know the name of the architecture of the building because it's so complex, but I would say that it's more than likely also turn of the century and very rococo, and well, it's worth the effort. Just go down and see it, whether you're going to go to college there or not. But when you're down at the Arboretum, if you do go down there, by all means go and visit, go and see the grounds and the building of the Dowling College, which is a 4-year college to the best of my understanding, and it must be a wonderful experience for young people to go there. I'm going to put this in here even though it's not there because it's going to complete the picture. There's another barn on this side that's attached to this one, but I'm going to just pretend it's not there because it's not even there in the monitor and nobody will ever know the difference. So here we have the background, which is sort of hazy and very distant, and it just should never be fooled with and no details. It has to be treated very, very simply. And here's that wonderful patch of the great river, peeking off into the distance there. Because the sky was, because there's nothing to interrupt it. No, there were very little clouds, but there was a lot of gray up there. The sun wasn't really, but it was shining enough for the water to pick up on this wonderful great river. What an extraordinary river that is! It's just huge for Long Island. You don't expect to see that here on Long Island. There it is, just down there on the South Shore, and it's just wonderful to see it. Okay, here's the phone call. Okay, hello there. Tell me who you are, please.
Hello, I am Anna, and I live in Deer Park.
Yes, Anna.
I just called to tell you that I just love your program.
Good, thank you.
And you're so delightful and knowledgeable about Long Island.
Well.
And your paintings are just beautiful.
Thank you.
I really enjoy them.
Well, I'm so glad you called.
And another question, when will the Arts for Land Lovers...
Art for Open Lands.
Open Land.
Well, Art for Open Lands, I believe, is scheduled for June.
Uh-huh.
I believe it's scheduled for June. Actually, I'm actually positive that it's scheduled for June.
Okay.
And I do hope you can come.
I certainly would want to meet you.
Good, good, me too.
Okay.
So by all means, well, it'll be announced during the month.
Wonderful.
And you can't miss it.
Wonderful. And I just love the program.
Thank you so kindly for calling.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
So, the background, which is what I always do in order to prepare for the application of paint for the main subject. Now, this lawn back here, wonderful expanse of grass going clear down to the river. I walked down there today to get a feel for the land, and it's quite a field. I must say that when you are used to pavements, and most of us always, you know, we get out of our car and we go into the mall and we walk across blacktop, and sometimes when we go home we get out of the car and we walk across the driveway and into the house, and the only time that you really, I suppose, get to work walk on a lawn these days is when you're mowing the grass, and that's not always fun. But anyway, the walk across a great big thing of grass like this is really very gratifying. You have a sort of a whole different feeling about this planet that we live on, that it's full of these absolutely remarkable things, as a great big long stretch of grass. Can you imagine what it must have been to live on this property way back when it was a private farm, and there was living and activity going on here at that time? It's an era past, and obviously the farmer that ran this place was either not able to continue, or he died and his sons didn't feel like continuing, or his daughters, and so it went to the state, and we are benefiting from that right now. So here are three almost unbeatable colors. The pale of the sky and this lovely mauvey thing in the distance, and then this green grass. Isn't it wonderful that grass is green? Wouldn't it be horrid if it was pink? Well, never mind. Just an aside, just a thought that occurs to me sometimes when I'm playing with colors, and I'm always glad for the colors that they are. I would not dream of changing that. Now, we have a barn, talking about colors. There is a feeling probably that all barns are red. Well, this one happens to be chocolate brown. A wonderful shingle barn that has not been painted, and it has apparently not turned silver, so I'm not sure what type of shingles they are. I mean, we know that cedar shingles turn silver. Perhaps this barn has been was originally stained, and then they continued to keep it and stain it since then. So it's a chocolate brown, and I suppose that I could elaborate by saying that it's, on my palate, it's a combination of burnt sienna, black, and raw umber, in case anybody wants to have the details of what my palate tells me it is. But it's a very imposing color. It's also a very imposing piece of architecture that has lost its original purpose, but aesthetically it will, fortunately, I hope that it remains here, and there's no reason why it shouldn't, because it's in very good shape. I did not peek into the windows because, as I said earlier, we snuck in, and I was afraid that possibly we would be in deep trouble if I did sort of try to peek in the windows. But I think that with permission, there would not have been any problem about visiting this particular wonderful barn. When the Cable Vision truck is there, people are always very cooperative. They're never really too harsh on our coming and parking there for 40 minutes or so, which is the time that it takes to do these shoots. And now you know the whole secret affair about how we do this. So to go on about the Arboretum, apparently there is the desire to not only preserve the trees that someone collected, because I believe that this farm may have been a collection of trees, but it's also, I believe there is an activity of trying to save endangered trees. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Mike will be able to corroborate this sometime during the break, but for the most part, this is the opportunity to be able to, in fact, pay a great deal of attention to our natural flora and fauna, which many times, because of pollution and willy-nilly cutting for development, is lost forever by just the wanton cutting down of some very important growth. We know that is happening in the West, and we know that it happens here very often. Even though Long Island has many, many trees, from the air it looks like just one enormous green ribbon of foliage. We have lost a great deal of native trees. So while I've been jabbering away at you, I have laid in the general outline of this barn, and I'm going to start to put these I'm in the sap green, and I don't want to be. I want to be in the black. This is a gray. This part of the door has been painted gray. The trim, the rest of the trim has been is white, and this is almost like filling in the numbers. I think that I'd like to emphasize that when you do something like this, it should remain very simple and very clean and very pure. You do not have to start to worry too much about things like shadows on a structure like this, because actually what the point of this painting is the design of this barn, and to keep it very plain and very simple. I'm using a nice medium that I have found on Canal Street on Monday. It's called archival oil, and it makes the paint flow very nicely. It's not my Marigé medium, which now has jumped up to $12 a jar, and I will show you that jar. This is the jar that now costs $12. And not that I think I should economize on paint and mediums and materials, but I'm talking to people who maybe don't want to spend $12 on a jar of medium because they're just learning. Therefore, this new flowing type of oil that you can use, and it's got a combination of varnish and oil in it, will make the paint flow more quickly. It also will help it to dry more quickly, and so that's a little piece of information. It's called archival oil. There is a pearl paint shop in East Meadow, Long Island, where you get these things, and that bottle was $3 or something very close to it, $2.50 or $3, which is vastly different from $12. So all these little pieces of information, I do not get any kind of advertising pay from any of these people. I just think that it's a service that I can give you to tell you where to buy these things, and because so many people wonder. I mean, like that little Eric called a minute ago, and he wanted to know where to get a fan brush. Oh, good. Phone call. Hello there.
Hello, Pat.
Yeah.
This is Rose from Bayshore.
Hello, Rose.
My daughter asked me if I would ask you, are you self-taught or did you take art classes?
No, I never took a class in my life.
Uh-huh.
I am self-taught.
And she, when she's in New York, she always watches your show.
Good.
And I want to know why you're not listed in the TV guide or any of the news, the TV guides.
Well, because TV Guide, I believe, does not cover local origination. Perhaps I could get some information about that from some of the people here at the studio. That is for a national viewing.
Or Newsday.
Well, why don't you call Newsday in the morning and ask them why they don't list me?
Right, because I have to flip stations because I know you come on at 8 o'clock. I know on Tuesdays, but sometimes I'm watching something and I flip to your channel and I get you, and sometimes it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Well, I know. It's all very confusing. The programming for this program varies a great deal, and I have absolutely no control over that. It's the station that has the control over that. But I would love to be listed in TV Guide. If I were syndicated and nationally broadcast, I would be.
Well, I don't see why, because everybody enjoys your show.
Well, thank you.
I love your paintings.
Thank you so much.
And I wish I could paint.
Well, try it sometime. You might surprise yourself.
I did, but I'm messy. I can't.
Oh, well, all right. Come to the Art for Open Lands, and I'll talk face-to-face with you and tell you that you're wrong.
Oh, I'd love that.
Good.
Okay, Pat.
Come when you can.
Okay, Pat.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's something to local origination. We get lots of appreciation from the audience of the local originating stations here, and we also get ACE awards. So. Right, you can't ask for more than that. I'm doing all of these details while I'm talking to the various people. Here is what I do to get the windows in first, and then as soon as this paint sets a little bit, then I will do the trim with a smaller brush if there's time to do that. Otherwise, if the program ends and I haven't gotten to the details, then I will do it for the finished product, which you'll be able to see when the Art for Open Lands show takes place in June. I take these paintings back to my studio, and then I will refine them somewhat, and I will frame them and make them acceptable for sale, and then for a nominal price you can buy these paintings that I have done on the show. I do not sneak in any of my other works. This is all strictly paintings done on the Cable Easel, and we've had it 2 years in a row. This will be the third year, and the response is always very positive, and I believe that this year it will be, instead of last year, I think it was, I forget the month last year, but this year we're going to do it in June. So just keep listening, and there will be announcements made about when this is all going to happen. So as you can see, you keep the whole attitude about doing this barn very simple. I think that the simpler approach, the better. Otherwise, one becomes extremely intimidated by the details and so on. But as you can see, I've done a very reduced and simple formula of how to render this barn. And I sort of had the idea of doing this when we stopped and found the barn today. That if you draw it properly in the beginning, you'll be able to have a perfectly acceptable rendering of this structure. Now, because it is shingles, it ought to be indicated somewhat that it's shingles, and it can be done almost in an interpretive way. Certainly not to paint all the shingles, just a suggestion that something is happening here and that there are rows of something. But don't ever, please. I mean, I see it too often in amateur paintings. The amateur painter believes that he has to put in every single shingle, and he doesn't. It's the interpretation which makes it mysterious and far more painterly, as they say. So with that little piece of advice, I'm going to take a break for a very short period of time, and I'll be right back, so don't go too far away. Yes, well, good. We're back again, and this is the opportunity that I can to retract what I said. So I didn't say the right thing at all. There doesn't seem to be any genuine date for June for the Art for Open Lands. So I take it back until the announcement is made and we come to some definite conclusion about when it is. It is what they say, upcoming. Grammatically, I think that that's an incorrect use of the language. However, upcoming is what I was told it's going to be, and so be it. So forget about the June date unless I corroborate it the next time, or unless you hear it on the show. So back to this wonderful cow barn in our midst, right down there on the South Shore, with what I call a delicious puddle in front of it. One of the things that really interested me was the fact that this puddle had manifested itself, and so I'm going to paint the puddle right now, because the tree is a piece of cake. It's the puddle that you have to worry about. How do you make it look like it's really wet down there? And this is the challenge that comes when you work from life. So I think that I have. Let me see. How does this go? It's all very complicated. I'm going to sort of maybe try to make some sense out of it. Doing it live on the air is always a question whether one should attempt this, but I'm going to. Here's how you find the mark. You just make sure that you are directly below the line of, oh, there's the, I guess you're seeing that. You're seeing the details. We take shots of the details and the close-up shots, and that gives me the ability to be able to focus in on really carefully. And of course the windows, I haven't got the windows in yet, but they're in the reflection, and as soon as I get the windows in, that'll maybe make a little bit more sense. Now the grass is not reflected in the in this puddle because it's too close to it, but the barn is. Let me put some of those upright. Where's my white? There it is. I'm going to put those upright windows in, and then my reflections are going to make more sense. I'll change my brush, and the windows can just be very interpretively put in there because they're in such perspective and such profile that all we have to do is to indicate that that there are in fact windows on this side of the barn. One of them is a door and goes clear down to the ground. As you can see, this is the illusion is that they are in fact there. That's one of the things about painting which is so intriguing, that you believe that you see something, and actually what it is nothing more than just a little stroke of paint. That is supposed to be windows in perspective. And here come the reflections of those windows in this puddle. Each window has a reflection, and because they are white. Isn't that right? This is fun. Oh, that's such fun. I must say, I get very intrigued with the window problem and with the business of reflections. Now, here is this puddle. Very brilliant because the sun overhead has a brilliance to it, and this puddle is it just sort of manifested itself a little bit, and it goes off to nothing here, and then the rest of it is driveway. So let me get my driveway color, which is black and a touch of the white, and here is the shape of the puddle, like so. The grass meets the driveway, and as long as I'm sure that this hour is going to go by much too quickly, and this very complex painting is going to have to be interpreted at my easel when I get home, but I'll do the best I can now. I have a call, so let me take it. Hello there? Yes? Hello? Did they go away? Hello?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Alice.
Hello, Alice.
How are you?
Fine.
Good. I just wanted to get your opinion on something.
Yeah?
Okay. I've started going back to painting in the past year. Okay. First I started with acrylics, and then I went to the oils, which I prefer.
Good.
And this is the question. I'm going to be a grandmother for the first time.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And over 30 years ago, when I had my first child, I had a lot of confidence, and I put murals on the nursery room walls.
Good.
Okay?
Yes.
Then, of course, in a few years, they were painted over. But I'd like to do something differently for my grandchildren. I would like to, put some kind of paintings or something that would be lasting.
Yeah.
So I'd like your opinion.
Well, my opinion is that whoever decided to paint over your original murals...
Which we did, myself.
Okay, you're guilty of that?
Yes.
Well, we won't shoot you.
Okay.
we would have shot the painter had he done it. We won't shoot you, but you've learned a lesson, obviously, that you would like to preserve this.
Right.
Which is, of course, a lesson learned is never too late.
Right.
What I would suggest is that you go and buy something called Sanitas.
Okay.
It's a horrible name for a wallpaper that has a canvas finish to it.
Okay.
And you can put that on the wall, and when you decide to once again change the room, you can peel it off.
Oh, really?
And take it with you.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So I believe any wallpaper store will be able to give it to you, will be able to sell it to you, put it on the wall with the regular wallpaper paste. Great. And you're off.
And use the oils?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But you can also use water-based house paints. Okay. And it works extremely well. There are some wonderful colors. I don't know how brilliant you want to go, but they're wonderful colors. I just completed 6,000 square feet of murals in Virginia. Really? Using water-based house paints.
That's excellent.
Yes, and it works very well. It is less expensive, and it will last equally as long.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad that you're going to do a mural for that critter.
Thank you.
Is the critter here yet?
Not yet.
Well, lucky child.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, here we are. While I was speaking to the prospective grandmother, I have managed to put an entire lawn in front of this barn, and working with the greens as they come. Now, the puddle may or may not be working. I would love to think that that the painting of this puddle has been as quickly and as simply realized as I'm hoping it will. Well, it's not too bad. I'm looking at it. Let me get that tree in there, because the tree is something that I wanted to talk about. I went up. It's got a little tag all its own, not nailed. I believe it's wired to the bark. I don't think that anybody in the Arboretum would be guilty of nailing anything to a tree. So I do believe that these little tags are attached to the tree somehow, telling you what it is. And this one happens to be a Chinese tree called an empress tree. I got a call? Okay, let's take the call, please. Hello there. Yes?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Pat. How are you? This is Dan from Sayas.
Hello, Dan.
I haven't painted in years, but you've given me the bug again.
Good.
I'm going to go back and start painting again.
Great.
And I wanted to ask you about, are you missing a window from in front of that barn?
Am I missing a window? Oh, yes. Oh, I hate you. Yes, you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, how the heck am I going to fix that? Oh, well, maybe I won't fix it. Maybe I'll just be, this is the barn with the missing window.
That could be. I'm sorry.
See, it goes right there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It goes right here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what happens when you sit here with your face hanging out and you're working from life, and I mean right there on camera, no editing, and then we get a sharpshooter like you coming along and saying you're missing a window.
No, I didn't call for that purpose.
That's all right.
I just happened to see it as I was talking to you.
I appreciate it.
I want to ask you about your masonite. You said you were going to give some hints as to how to prepare the masonite?
Yes, prepare the masonite, and if you can take shorthand, I'll just tell you about the masonite. Be sure that it's tempered masonite. You will use the smooth side, not the side that's got the texture on it, and you will get some Franklin glue. It comes in any hardware store. It's called Franklin glue. It is a horse foot glue, very similar to rabbit's foot glue, which is what you use. You will dilute it to a watery consistency and coat the masonite first with the glue.
Right.
Then after that, you take any oil-based color and give a coat of that on top of this glue, with going in a diagonal pattern from left to right, and then the second coat in a diagonal pattern going in the other direction. And that is the preparation of the masonite. It will last 400 years. The glue is what makes the paint react the way it should, and I think you'll be very happy with the surface.
Oh, thanks a million, Pat. I'm sorry about that window.
I'm not sorry at all. I love the fact that you're watching so carefully, that you have caught me, and that I can sit here and possibly even correct my mistake.
Well, I've enjoyed your paintings for the last few months. I've been tuned in. I've watched every program. I try to catch you. They should put a schedule out in the paper as to when you're going to be on. Well,
can you pick up the phone tomorrow morning and call 348-6800 and tell them your problem about scheduling, and then maybe they can fix it.
Oh, fine.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling. You're going to be known as the man that watches windows.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Well, you see, that's good, because he was watching and I wasn't, and I'm just so busy here talking like a magpie that I'm not even counting windows, which is, that happens. And unless the original architect of this barn calls up and says you've missed one of my windows, I think I'm going to leave it alone. I really do. Except that it's a much better design with those two windows. Damn. Well, anyway, here we are. Now there's another tree way off in the distance here. Now you see I've gotten the reflection of this tree. That's not too bad. Maybe that vindicates my window problem. So the barn is all askew. He's absolutely right. I may change this before the end of the show. Either that, or I will correct it. And when you come to the famous Art for Open Lands that we don't know when is happening, I will have the barn properly done, and then you'll be able to. Then I will stand vindicated once and for all for my gross error in perspective and drawing of this barn. Okay, there's another call. Hello there.
Hi, Patricia.
Yes.
Hi, this is Jerry from West Islip.
Yes, Jerry.
I watch you all the time. I think you're terrific.
Thank you.
I think the house looks great with that missing window. Maybe put it on the other side. You have an extra spot over there. Stick it on the other side.
Put it right over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Right over there? Good.
Yeah, it looks perfect. No one will know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The barn doesn't care.
It's all in the artist's eye, right?
Right you are.
I have a question for you.
Good.
I've done watercolors, I've done acrylics, I've done like everything else that I could do with paints, and I'm interested in starting oils.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, like, do you start with the same sort of palette every time, or like the same colors on your palette? Or do you just use whatever colors you think you're going to need for that picture?
Oh, with the sense of economy that I have, I will use what I think I'm going to need. You know, when you pay $9 for a tube of red and there isn't a bit of red in anything, you're not going to start squeezing red out onto your palette.
Right.
And so logic is what is going to have to set in there. And I sure am glad to hear that you're going to start working in oils. I have a feeling a whole new world is going to open up.
I know. I'd like to say hello to my friend Trudy. She's watching right now, probably on a black and white TV, which we do a lot.
Black and white TV still exists?
We watch you on black and white. Wherever we can watch you, we'll watch you.
Good. Does it work?
Yeah, we get the idea of what you're doing.
Good.
We're going to try it.
Well, how amazing.
Also, that's like a poster board you're painting on?
No, this is a canvas board.
Oh, it is a canvas
This is
board.
prepared for this kind of thing. It is less expensive. It's good for people who are just starting out and do not want to spend a tremendous amount of money on canvas.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Okay. Great. I'd love to see a show when you have that the little thing in June. Well, it's not going to be in June, whenever it's going to be. I'll be there.
This show is going to go down as probably the more entertaining one that doesn't know what it's doing. However, I'm sure glad you called.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it.
Good luck with your project. With
Okay,
the
lots
oils.
of luck to you too.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Well, George Carlin makes a fortune doing this, making mistakes and using sort of. At least, I mean, I'm not into the language problem, but the mistakes are all part of the game. If it's absolutely perfect, then you haven't got anything to laugh at. So anyway, this is an empress tree. I love the fact that the label on it says Empress Tree. In other words, it doesn't say Empress Wagon or Empress Chair. It says Empress Tree. That's quite obvious that this is a tree. Anyway, it's got a weird name, Polanoski Tomanosis or something. I'm sure that Paul Thomas probably discovered this tree in China and gave it his name. Anyway, it's got a little label that is wired to the tree. It tells you that it's Chinese in origin, and it's got the neatest little crazy seeds that fall down, that open up, beautifully symmetrical little seeds. Here they are. Is this the best? Is this the cutest little thing you ever saw? Now that is from, I've got a call. Let me take the call. Hello there.
Hi, this is Michelle.
Michelle, how are you?
Good.
Good.
I was just wondering where you get oil paints.
Oh, there are any number of places, Michelle. They're all over the island, but the best one to go to is called Pearl Paint, and it's in East Meadow.
Oh, okay.
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 Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyway, now, see this? This is an Empress Tree, Chinese little bunch of pods, and in here there are little seeds. So of course I'm going to attempt the impossible. I'm going to take this back to Virginia, and I'm going to let one of the little seeds sit in the Virginia soil and see if I can get me a Chinese Empress tree. But this is the kind of thing that you experience. These were lying on the ground. I did not pick these. In case anybody from the Bayard Arboretum is watching, I did not pick this. It fell off the tree and it was lying in the puddle, and it's all wet. So anyway, and besides that, it's a way to introduce you to this remarkable place. For me to have gone there and snuck in and been a bad person. But anyway, the Arboretum is wonderful. It's for us. It's a resource which we ought to really cherish. And this tree has only just begun to show signs that the winter is maybe go over. It dropped its little seeds. Obviously, the spring is the time that it wants to do that. And this tree back here is having one devil of a time trying to get organized, and because there's almost nothing coming out of it. It's still very bare branched up there, and it looks extremely neglected, and the poor thing is just obviously just waiting for something important to happen, namely for a couple of warm days, and the Godspeed that day, for these things to start blooming. We have now, and then of course the problem is that we're going to have another pressure put on us, and that's grass. The grass is going to be coming at the same time as the beauty. Another call? Okay, let's take it. Hello?
Oh, hello, Pat. This is Maria from Holbrook.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm well.
Fine. What I wanted to ask you was, had you heard or used a new paint that's out by Grumbacher? It's called Max.
No.
It's supposed to be a water-soluble oil paint.
Well, that's a contradiction in terms, isn't it?
I've seen it advertised in some art magazines, and you're supposed to be able to not use turpentine, like for people that are allergic. And
well, that's good.
And they say that you can intermix it with regular oil. I was wondering if you had seen it.
I have not seen it, and it is absolutely astonishing to think that you can actually say water-soluble oil colors. Well,
I want to try it because I can't use a lot of the solvents, and I miss oil painting.
Well, of course, I mean, anything that's going to solve that problem is acceptable. I don't know what the life expectancy of these things are. Read the label and see what it says.
Right.
And then you'll be a little bit more informed, and then you can call me and tell me about it.
Okay, I will.
Well, I appreciate your calling me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. The princess tree, with a different name and so on. Anyway, as I say, the daffodils, of course, were absolutely magnificent, and there's a big sign outside the gate saying, "The daffodils are blooming," with a big exclamation point. And sure enough, they were fields and fields and fields of daffodils, all come up and looking as healthy as you please. And then, of course, there are some other trees that are waiting for the great warm day to come, which looks like it might be tomorrow. And then you will find the pink blossoms of all sorts of amazing things are coming out, and they're right down there. So go on down and look at them. Now, just for a moment, because there's something terribly wrong with the drawing of this barn, I'm going to just mention the fact that those white doors, because they are in shadow, are to be treated as shadow white. They can't be. They have to be a little bit lighter than the gray door above it. But if this white is in shadow, it must be under brilliant white, because so that when you get around to the brilliant white of the sunstruck side of the barn, you will understand that this white door is in fact in shade. Just little pieces of information that you ought to be aware of, and that gives you the nice experience of having observed something and have it make sense to you. So many times we are not told to look at things very carefully, and a lot of things pass us by because we are spoon-fed an awful lot of information. I mean, every time you turn this set on, you're spoon-fed some kind of information. You're not made to think for yourself. So the experience of being able to see something and experiencing for yourself, such as when a white door is in shadow, it's not white, it is gray, it's shadow color. So once again, another one of my unrelenting lectures. And here's the barn with the missing window, according to, I believe his name was Eric or something. Anyway, all of this would be refined very carefully as if I get around to doing this before the show. But I did want to introduce you to this nifty barn. Yes, it's totally askew, and I can correct it, and maybe I'll correct it right now in front of everybody and take my chances that it's going to work. The way I would correct it is this. Oh, we got another call. Okay, saved by the call. Hello there.
Hello, Pat.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to be on. My name is John Coco. My cousin is Lenny Coco with the Chimes, and he has a radio program. You call him up to play your favorite song. But I want to know.
You'll have to.
Can I tell you it's 14:40 from 10 to 2 in the morning? I want to know, what do you do with the paint on the palette after you're finished with the painting?
I throw it out.
You throw it out?
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have a lot of questions, but I'll call a little at a time once in a while. I just got back from Bible reading. I'm a little late. I missed the show. I'm sorry. Thank you. Bye.
I wouldn't have missed the call for anything. Thanks for calling. Anyway, I'm trying to correct because it's always important for people when they make a mistake to find out that people such as I can very, very often make terrible mistakes, and that to correct them is absolutely vital. So I'm going to try and correct this one also and enlarge this side of the barn. As you can see, because the oils are still wet, I can pull this down here and maybe really show you that, maybe put the window in for my friend who was so observant, I believe, and he may be glad to see this. I hope he is. And there's the perspective of this thing, and here's the correction of this barn. So it would in fact have the room to put another window. Take this one out and put it in closer. I find myself, this window is directly underneath the other one. I believe so. There's that little one. And now I can put the second window in that I have missed, so I have now possibly been forgiven for my lack of observation that there were two windows on this side and a little one over there. Well, this has always been great fun. Hello there. Yes, there's a call. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Pat. This is Juan from Holbrook.
Yes, Juan.
And I have a question as far as framing the paintings.
Yeah.
When you after you paint the paintings, what do you do as far as framing them? Do you just get regular wood and frame them yourself, or do you take them out to to a framing shop and have them framed for you.
Well, Warren is your name?
Juan, J-U-A-N?
Oh, Juan.
Right.
Well, Juan, I tell you, it all depends on economics, or it also depends upon whether you have frames at home which you can use. There is no set standard about how you frame pictures. It is a question of taste. You might be able to make your own frames. I certainly do not make mine, but I make mine over. I mean, I buy frames in flea markets. I buy frames in all over the place. And working on this kind of board means that I can cut the board to the size. So framing is a very personal thing, and it's all a question of taste.
How about color-wise? Do you try to match the frame color to the paintings?
Never, absolutely not.
Also, anything really goes with framing?
Not anything, but I do believe that the simpler the frame, the better. I always try to avoid having the great elaborate frames. I just don't think they work for my type of painting.
Right.
I like the simple frames.
Okay, thank you very much, and that fix-it that you're doing there looks great. That's a good catch.
I'm so glad everybody's in on this.
Okay.
Thanks, Juan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, good. Okay, well, I don't know. Gee, we are running out of time. But anyway, this has been an entertaining show for me because all sorts of wonderful things have happened. I've gotten some great calls, and I've had a couple of laughs. 2 more minutes? Well, panic sets in. Anyway, as I say, this show is supposed to do more than just apply paint to canvas and talk about painting. It's supposed to do all sorts of things, like interest you in the area in which we live, to show you how you go about it, and to show you also how you can find a tremendous amount well, how do I say, experiences emotionally as well about things when you go out and you sit in front of these places and you learn a little bit more about these things than you were aware of before. That to me is some of the lovely moments. 1 minute. Well, in any case, I've announced erroneously the Art for Open Lands, and I took that back. And then I managed to correct some really silly mistake that I did on the barn. I see that the barn has got a pale undercoating here because it's probably built on stone. So this has to have a pale side to the bottom of it. Here's the stone underneath the barn, because obviously barns were built at the turn of the century. They had a stone foundation, more than likely river stone, because it's so close to the river. But anyway, here we have the beginning of the painting of a rather fabulous barn that is right there for all of us to observe and to go down and become a part of the whole scene. I appreciate your watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. I certainly had a couple of laughs, and the end of the evening's entertainment is now over, and the learning process begins. So, this is me, Pat Windrow. I'll be live again at the end of May, on the last Tuesday of May, and during the week you'll see me periodically on some tape shows. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Bye-bye.